Jerry.
All right, what's going on, people? Welcome to the SN95 Power channel. So you seen that intro? That's one fan on a weak battery on a box with no airflow coming behind it. So I made a post on my Instagram about trying to create the ultimate SN95 cooling system. So what's going on is, with the air conditioning in this car now, on like mid 90 days, the cooling system cannot keep the car from overheating. You know, anything in the low 90s is fine, but those really hot summer days, the cooling system just can't keep up. So I want to get this car in a situation where I can drive it anywhere I want to. If I want to drive it in the desert, 100-degree weather, if I want to take it down to Florida, humid 100-degree weather, it's not going to be a problem. So I started this journey on researching modern cooling fans because, you know, pretty much everybody in the older generation Mustangs, the go-tos are contour fans, Mark 8 fans, Taurus fans. There's a couple other ones out there, but you know, for the most part, those are the three heavy hitters. And the Mark 8 fan, which is great. It's a single fan that, you know, people have tested to like 4,000 CFM. That's unrestricted. When I say unrestricted, there's free flowing. So they would just test it with the radiator with nothing on the backside of it for restriction. Not like in the real world where you have a radiator or, you know, some kind of heat exchanger and other stuff. Contour fans are great. They're slim, two 12-inch fans. They work great for the majority of people. But when you start adding stuff in front of the radiator, like for this car, I have a huge transmission cooler. I have an AC condenser. There's the power steering cooler on top of being a turbo car. That in itself is creating a lot of heat. So sometimes even those fans are tried and true, when you throw all this stuff in front of those fans, it's just not enough CFM. On top of that, those older fans, the current draw. So the initial kick of current when you turn those fans on can, you know, make your car bog or give you some electrical issues with your alternator or your battery. So what I have on this car right now, I have a 12-inch Durali and a 12-inch Jegs brand, which is relay spall fan. The Durali is, I think, 1,600 CFM. It's like a 265-watt motor fan. And the spall fan is, you know, around the same. And I think the CFM rating is a little bit lower. Like I say, I think for the majority of people, though, that fan combination would work. But for me and my turbo car with air conditioning and an automatic trans cooler in front, it's just not working in extreme hot. So I started, like I say, this journey on trying to find some modern fans that would be up to task. Now, the cool thing about the age that we live in now, we have these brushless fans. Now, these brushless fans are compact in size, and they are a soft start fan. Now, some of them have a built-in pulse width modulator built inside of them, and some of them you have to buy some kind of PWM controller. Now, Spall makes fans for brushless fans for GM, and so the granddaddy of all OEM fans is the Camaro SS fan. That's a 19-inch brushless fan that's 800 watts. Now, put that in perspective. These are two 12-inch fans, 300 watts each. Now, this is not a OEM. This is an aftermarket fan assembly, but you can get two 12-inch Spa brushless fans off of Chevy Volt. And if you want just a single fan, you can get a 14-inch fan off a C7 Corvette, I believe. I hate flies, y'all. I'm sorry. But here's the great thing about this, and there's nothing new under the sun. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm sure somebody have thrown these on a Mustang, a Foxbody, SN95, whatever. But just researching online on YouTube University, like on the channels that I was able to find, nobody's really used these on a Mustang. I think I remember somebody on Instagram a year or two ago saying that they put these on a Mustang. I remember my man Greg bringing that up to me a long time ago too. We were talking about that. But so as far as my research is, there's not a lot of people running these, and you would be surprised dimension-wise how well these fans are going to fit on your SN95. So I have a El Cheapo aluminum radiator in this box. It's from Amazon, eBay, and you'll be surprised. It's basically the same thing SVE has. It's just, as you know, LMR rebrands it SVE, but it's basically one of these radiators. So let me take this radiator out and show you the kind of modifications that we're going to have to do to it. So from a dimension standpoint, this fan is 26 inches across. The core of these radiators, I think, is 24. But here's the great thing. From height standpoint, it lines up damn near perfectly. So there's not much I'm going to have to do for this shroud to work. You know, I even have like a tab right there that I can use to mount it on the bottom. But by this being so heavy, I'm gonna have to drill a bunch of holes. I'm probably gonna use some kind of angle iron, but you know, the problem is the width. So as I slide this over, you notice all this is in the way. So what I'm gonna have to do is cut some of that out. I might not have to cut this. Now, if I look at this other side, the only thing that's really got to get cut is that right there. There's nothing on this side that's protruding that's going to keep this from closing. So basically, I just have to make a cut down here at the bottom and a cut over here at the top. Before I start cutting, I'm going to test this other fan, make sure that works, and then we'll start the cutting process.
Yo, this thing is crazy. That's just one fan on a weak battery.
Crazy. All right, 100% duty cycle, it's off. It's like reverse. So with both these fans on, as soon as it hits '95, '94, 89. I really don't care about having these at low speed. The true beauty of this is going to be high speed. almost lifting the phone up by itself. All right, here's a couple of things. This is going to protrude through, so I have two options. I can cut it, or I can try to make a hole for it through the shroud. This will not be in the way, that can stay, but I have to cut this. Actually, I do think this will be in the way. Let's test it. But before I test it, let me test my theory on this. Let me cut this hole out, and this will set how the rest of the radiator is going to be. This is pretty heavy. Sorry. So I'm gonna do that just like that. That's gonna be one hole right there. That will set the height and the depth. I'm probably gonna get some like L brackets. I think I got some L brackets up in here. I wanna get like an L bracket to kind of sit like that, so I can drill across here and drill through there and get multiple mounting spots for this. So let's make this cut right here. I'm gonna use the angle grinder, cut that, and need to cut this up here. All right, so the only problem I'm having now is this. So I need to cut that. I think that's like a mounting stand for the OEM fan. I'm gonna cut that down and see if we can get this to fit. All right, so I've got that down. The only problem I'm gonna have is this air gap, and I hate that I got rid of my foam insulation that I was using on the other fan setup. So I'm gonna have to get some kind of insulation to help seal those gaps, but so far it's coming along. Yo, so I'm surprised how perfect this is, length and width. So of course I'll have to get rid of that tab, get rid of this tab, but if you look where it's lining up right here, this is a solid seal down here. I'll still put something down here at the bottom. I could drill straight through here. That'll give me a nice I still think I'm gonna do some kind of L bracket. And up top, you know, there's a little gap right here, but I think if I didn't have these transcooler lines, it would fit pretty snug on here. So we have like a little gap right there. But yeah, that's damn good as far as fitment goes. So one cut up here, one cut down there. I'm gonna cut that tab, I'm gonna cut that tab, and that's pretty much it. All right, I have the tabs cut on each side. Now it's time to figure out how I'm going to mount this on the radiator. All right, so now we need to work on mounting this thing. And I want to fill some of these gaps. So my thought is to just use some of this window insulation. All right, so now that we have that set, I'm gonna start drilling my holes. And the only thing I'm going to do is drill a bunch of holes to the bottom and use some nuts and bolts to hold it into place. All right, I've got the bottom set, and this is working out really good because I have some angle pieces now that I can drill on the top, through on the top, through on the bottom. I'll put some insulation up through here, and that'll be a good tight seal. All right, so we got it mounted. We got our insulation. I only have one bolt up here holding it, but I have 3 underneath. Just because of the type of bolt that I'm using, I had to cut a hole for this to sit. But I know what y'all really want. Y'all want to see these 2 fans in action. You know, I kind of hate when I was researching this and people would do these videos and not show the fans in action. So let's get this wired up and get some CFMs going. All right, let's get this hooked up. This is my ground. It's my PWM. And this is 12 volts. All right. Now let's hook the PWM up. That. So it's on 0. Let's kick it up to 3. Let's see if 2. What happens at 2? Nothing at 2. Three. this thing almost sucked my hand to the radiator. It pulled my hand to the radiator. So I'm kind of curious if I take this PWM signal straight to ground, what will happen? It's PWM straight to ground. Does nothing. So you have to have some kind of pulse width controller. So anytime it sees a low signal cycle, I mean, that's basically what a square wave is, you know, high signal, low signal, and it's doing that at 100 hertz. So if I was to sit here and tap that, then the fan would speed up. But interesting. All right, so this is going to be the new setup, and I must say I am super excited about this. Like I say, I'm not. There's nothing new under the sun, and I'm probably not the first to use one of these fans on a SN95, but there's not really. It's hard to find any documentation out here on how to get this to work on our cars. The real sweet thing about this is the adjustability that these fans are going to give us. Now, what's also cool is by these being brushless and it's a slow ramp, I can really hook these directly up to the CCRM. The high-speed fan circuit has, I believe, either 70 or 60 amp fuse. These are rated at 300 watts. At 14 volts, I don't remember the math in my head, but it's less than 30 amps per fan. So technically the CCRM will run these without even having an extra trigger relay. The fans I have on this car now, the Dural and the Spall, which I'm sure are comparable to amperage wise to these, I'm not using another trigger relay for those fans. Those are just being triggered off the CCRM. So, you know, for us 4th gen guys, if you want to add this fan, it's as simple as just a ground, 12 volts, and a PWM signal. You can hook this 12 volts and the ground directly to the CCRM wires coming off the CCRM. So it's very, very simple to hook this up to your 4th gen. You know, mounting is the proof is in the pudding. It's almost a factory fit as far as the mounting. Yeah, you got to cut a couple of things, but you know, the coverage over the radiator is great. And you know, if you are a automatic guy and you use the trans cooler in the radiator, you probably have to shift everything over that way. But for the most part, it's a pretty simple thing to do to get this mounted to your radiator. I'm going to break this up into a 2-part video. The next video is going to be me installing this and testing it. So if you really want to see the performance of this fan, make sure you hit the bell notification, subscribe to the channel, because I've got a feeling this is going to be the new trend as far as fan combinations for us 4th gen guys, and even, you know, some of the older generation Mustangs, even with the Foxbody guys. I know they like to use the contour fans and the Mark 8 fans also. But yeah, so hopefully this will shed some light into a new option for us guys. I'm very curious to hear some of your feedback on this setup, so leave a comment down below. Do me a solid, make sure you tell a couple of people about this channel, and until next time, God bless.